Hello, good morning. Rev'd Julie here from St Mark's Church, Brampton, with a reflection for the Sunday, the 7th of February. And this week it's called Making Room for God and is based all around John chapter 1, verses 1 to 14, which is the reading that we've had in our service today. I wonder, have you noticed anything about the evenings? I have. They are slowly getting lighter. It was well gone 5 o'clock and still light yesterday. The darkness is making room for the light. What about outdoors? Have you noticed anything about your garden or any outdoor space you can see? There are snowdrops and signs of other spring flowers making their way up through the ground. The hard, cold earth is making room for the plants. Have you noticed anything about the calendar? This last week, we turned over into the second month of the year. We're now in February, but it took me until Thursday to flip my wall calendar over. And within the church, we are in a brief period of ordinary time when we look back to the seasons of Advent, Christmas, and Epiphany, and we look ahead to the seasons of Lent and of Holy Week and Easter. We stand in this in-between space, and God is calling us in this place to make room for Him in us and through us in our community. In the opening section of John's Gospel, I think this making room is what John refers to as the light. We have the light shines in the darkness, and later on, the true light, which enlightens everyone, was coming into the world. In order for the light to do its job, something else had to shift, move out of the way, make room. So, thinking back to Christmas, Mary made room for Jesus in her womb. Joseph made room for Jesus as his son. And then John the Baptist made room for Jesus by his testimony. In different ways and at different times, those who received Jesus into their lives had to make room for him. Not bolt him on as somehow an extra, but really shift something in their lives to make room for him so that he could provide meaning, purpose, and direction for their lives. I wonder, how are we making room for Jesus in our lives? Are there any areas of our lives where we are resisting the light of Christ? Is there anyone Jesus is asking us to move over for and welcome in his name, but we are somehow struggling to receive them? Captain Sir Tom Moore brought some light into our world, didn't he? There he was, age 99, walking to raise money one lap of his garden at a time, saying, "The sun will shine on you again, and the clouds will go away." At a time of despair, sadness, and huge uncertainty, here was a man who shone, and many responded to his warmth, his optimism, and his love of life. And we recall him now as he has died this week. Jesus comes into our lives not like Captain Tom, but as light with a capital L. By his life and death and resurrection, Jesus shines the light of hope. By his compassion, healing, and teaching, he shines the light of grace. By his challenging words to those in power and authority, confronting injustice and hypocrisy, and with his bias to the poor, Jesus shines the light of truth and mercy. Do any of us need hope in our lives right now? Then make room for Jesus. Do any of us cry out for grace for ourselves or for those we love? Then make room for Jesus. Do any of us cry out for truth for all who are homeless, hungry, isolated, surviving on next to nothing? Then make room for Jesus. Okay, you may say, I want to make room for Jesus, but how? I have a couple of suggestions. At St Mark's, we want to make room for Jesus in Brampton over the coming weeks and months. In partnership with Brampton Primary School and St Thomas's Church, we're asking everyone to create a heart for their windows as a sign and symbol of letting everyone know they are loved by God. Along with the heart, we are asking you to pray this verse from John's first letter, chapter 4 and verse 16, which reads, God is love. Those who live in love live in God, and God lives in them. Will you make room in your day to make a heart? Will you make room in your window to display a heart? And even more, will you make room in your heart for Jesus? Making even more room for Jesus may look like this. In partnership with St Thomas's, we are asking you to use the season of Lent to pray for Brampton and to ask God to show us where there is more room for His love, more room for His life, and more room for His light to shine. And next Sunday, I'll be letting you know about how you can join in from Ash Wednesday onwards. In the beginning, we are told God said, "Let there be light." This is still God's desire, even today, for you, for me, and for all of us, that we make room for the light of the world, who we know as Jesus. Amen.